Hello. Ah, it's quite funny. I've just put my camera on and it comes on like a 5 second countdown. And it wasn't that bright in here. It was before. And so I angled the camera. I've moved the laptop to angle the camera around so that I'm not being blinded by the lights. And then as soon as the camera came on, onto the countdown, and then it went to like 3, 2, 1, and I was like, oh my God, I can't see a thing. So, and also I was like just chuckling to myself a little bit because I never normally would do like more than one take. But because I've been like so quiet and I find it really hard to switch the camera on and then just start like chatting. This is my third take. Now, don't get me wrong, the first take I knew within like 30 seconds that it was a disaster. And so I just carried on chatting to myself just to loosen my facial muscles a little bit. And then the second take was, again, from the second I switched it on, I knew it was a disaster, and so I switched it off immediately and put it onto a third. But interestingly, what crossed my mind was how rare it is for me to ever, like, quote unquote, get ready and do a video. Because if I was to, like, try and get ready for a video and try and look perfect or say everything perfectly, it never works. Like, and so the reason why I mention it now is nothing to do with me. I was thinking how when you're living in the media spotlight, I can see why they get so appearance orientated, and I can see why it must be a really insecure life. I mean, look at the light now. If I was like on proper TV, then it would be an issue, wouldn't it? And like things like lines and like showing expression in your face. In the like world stereotype, they want everyone to be like blank slates, don't they? Where you're not having wrinkles. And when I did the basis interviews with Miles, part of what I hated about them was how giggly I came across. Especially because it's so inappropriate to talk about stuff like that and giggle. It's actually a nervous reaction, which is probably why I didn't like the fact that I was giggling so much. Because it can be misinterpreted as someone who's being really jolly, when the reality is that in this kind of field of life, you are brought up to laugh in the face of adversity. Because it's like, laugh or what, cry all the time? You know, it sounds like very matter of fact what I just said, but that's your choices. You don't really have a choice actually, because you're a child and you get conditioned to be as you are. I hear myself say some of these things and it puts chills down my spine and makes my heart feel like really, you know, makes you feel a bit dirty, I suppose, when you think how kids get conditioned to be and they don't even really realise it's because you're a kid. You know, and then you find yourself an adult and all of this stuff doesn't add up or make sense, because if things were truly this paradise like you've kind of been taught to see, sorry, I've got a picture of my granny there looking right back at me and she caught my attention. I always feel like I'm doing this for her. I know it sounds crazy, as I'm not, I'm doing it for me, but when I did the basis interviews, I felt very much like I was doing that for my granny, and I wore a necklace and bracelet in that, which are my grandmother's, or were my grandmother's. And so when I just caught her eye then looking back at me, yeah, you know, so when I started talking out this time around, meaning in 2013, I definitely felt like I was doing that for her. It's always felt that way for the basis interviews. Not really so much since, until just then. Oh, tears. So this is my intro, which I'll put at the start of the upload for the first walk, my flying solo walk. And yeah, let's dedicate it to my granny, because she ended up with agoraphobia and like a prisoner in her own home in the end. Now, bear in mind, when I say this, nope, she wasn't a cowering mess. Nope, you could have called around to see her and you never would have known any of these things. But she did end up with agoraphobia. She didn't like leaving her house. Now, when you live in a mansion with huge gardens, then you can live like that and people don't know. She used to go to the supermarket when I was a kid and then she stopped doing that too. So I've always felt like speaking out for me has actually been more than just speaking out for me. And I say that not just in the generalistic sense, where I know there's loads of people like me out in the world, but from a very personal sense, knowing that if my granny had been alive in my time, I genuinely think she would have spoken. I think that she was, you know, she was living, she had three, she was born in 1918, I think, or 1914, I'm sorry, 1914, I mean. That's when she was born, and it was a different time, wasn't it? You know, women couldn't live the ways which they do now. Women couldn't speak out in the ways which they can now. And I've got the same name as my granny, and I've always felt like, why am I going on about my grandmother? Was never the intention. But anyway, I want this flying solo walk and this introduction for this walk to be dedicated to my grandma. I think that she'd be really proud. Like, and you know, I'm not saying that she wasn't like really implicated in certain things, but what people become and what people were are often two totally different things. And I really genuinely feel as though when you're in your 30s, you have this like these amazing chances where it's never easy to break free from your programming, and it's never easy to do the steps. Now, on one hand it is, because getting free is in steps, but you do reach a point where you've reached your maximum freedom potential without starting to take a few more steps which are a bit more dramatic. And whilst everything happens very organically, and on one hand looks easy if you talk about it, I've realised actually as I get older how hard a lot of these seemingly soundingly simple steps are to take, because there's a lot of like emotional, deeply bonded reasons within why it's actually can seem easier to stay in awkward, difficult scenarios than it is to leave. Now, I haven't got children, and it's been hard. I can see, I've always had beyond words respect for mothers with children who still manage to break free from the systems in place, because I don't have that. I don't have children which I'm consciously bringing up in my day-to-day life. I actually do think I have got kids. I do, but none which I've consciously had, none which I know about. I do feel like as though it would be very weird to have been used to the degrees which have been used, and for there to be no kids as a side effect. But I also have felt pregnant a few times in life when I shouldn't know what feeling pregnant feels like. So I do think that there probably has been some children which I've mothered, but you know, obviously there's a massive difference between being used for covert stuff, like unconsciously, or in alters which you don't yet know, and having in your conscious everyday life children. I would have loved to have had kids. That isn't the point which I'm trying to make. The ultimate respect which I've ever had is for women who have got children and can take on board their programming and still keep healing and still deprogram and removing the children from the scenarios of abuse, because it's so much easier for people to go into denial and stay trapped. Because when you've got children being used, like Britney Spears, I hate using a famous example, she might not even still be alive for all I know, as the person she once was. She might not even be a real person for all I know. Like, I'm just using her as an example for what we've seen. We saw someone try and get free, and we saw their children be used to keep them trapped. And that's why I've got ultimate respect for women who manage to break free and smash through that, and for the children they're doing it. Because a lot of women will stay in the most entrapping scenarios to protect their kids. But really, the true protection comes in breaking free and taking your kids, and or breaking free. It's not easy. And it's taken me 38 years not to recognise the mothering thing. I've always thought that. To recognise how it's not that easy actually to just walk away. To really see how they try and, like, if not try and kill you, they try to make you think they want to kill you. Or they try and make you suicide yourself, which is why I always say to people, I would never do that. Anyone who knows me knows I would never, ever commit suicide. It'd be very difficult, I think, now for these, like, for any cult plans to suicide me, because I've been very outspoken about the fact I would never commit suicide. And I'm not so daft to not, like, leave my own, what do I want to call it, a web? I don't know. I leave my own stuff out there. So if things like that did happen to me, I've written down and posted on publicly online, statements like that. Because cringeworthy as it is to do, sometimes you have to counter move to stop that happening. And I would never commit suicide. I've been through the darkest of dark many times over, and I would never do it. They're messing with my camera. Something just like happened online. Very strange. It makes me want to press stop and start again. I mean, not start again, just stop and start. Maybe I'll leave it. It'll be okay, maybe. We only really need the volume to work, don't we? It doesn't really matter if we can't see me. And I'm almost wrapping this up now because it's just meant to be an intro. It's not meant to be like a big, like, epic thing. I was going to post this walk on Sunday, but because so much stuff's been happening, I haven't had a chance to even, I never had a chance even to edit it together until yesterday. And I'm dying to go for another walk. And so I've got to get this walk up, because otherwise I'll feel like a bit bogged down in like stuff to upload. And also, I did want to just say, like, part of the reason why I haven't uploaded this yet or done the intro yet is because so much has happened. And I found out over the weekend that my ex-fiance, who I was with for almost all my 20s, who I've known since I was about 14, known in a kind of sense since 16, and I was programmed to be with him. It got sparked, ironically, after we'd been to watch the Blair Witch Project, and I gave him a peck on the lips, and everything stopped. My head stopped inside, and then it felt like a clock realigning, and then everything changed. And when it all changed, you could like align it. You could like think of it like a computer program now, like just stopping and reprogramming. But I always use the clock analogy because that's what felt true to me at the time. It was relatable to me. What's more relatable to the world now is the computer program analogy, and it all like stopping and my head reprogramming. And I knew in that instant that I was going to be with him, and there was nothing I could do to change it. Or that's what I thought at the time. The computer's acting like it's got a delay on me. I should have maybe stopped it before. It's thrown me off what I was saying anyway, and I'm running out of time, which is also a bit pressurising. I'm going to go for a walk today, and I'm going to film a second walk. But yeah, I found out that he's up in Crown Court in December for charges of rape and assault. Because I can't see how a rape is not rape and assault. Because to me the act of rape is assault, right? Anyway, this is the kind of thing which goes on in the background all the time. All these mad things go on in the background all the time. Sorry, I was just like thinking how they're like meant to push you, aren't they? You know, all this stuff's like going on always in the background, and it's not always able to talk about these things. But I've got no reason to keep like that kind of thing, you know. At the end of the day, he's up in court for charges of rape, which in my mind is an assault. Now, I'm not saying he's guilty or not guilty, but I know I walked away very damaged from my time with him. But I also know he was very damaged. He's Colin's bloodline. However, he was adopted out. But the fact of the matter is he is Colin's bloodline. I'm out of time. I'll film my walk today, and I'll upload this walk now. If you're watching this on my second channel, then you'll have to watch it on my first, you'll have to watch the main walk on my first channel. If you're watching this on my first channel, you'll have to watch the main walk on my second channel, and I'm totally out of time. I'll post all the links below. Thanks for watching, take care, bye. Hello. So I thought I'd keep talking for a little longer because the weather went really peaky after I was just about to stop filming and go for the walk, and so now I'm just looking for it to, it looks like now it's going to start brightening up because well, I don't know, it's 20 to 4 now. I'm thinking give it till 4 o'clock and see what I was going to do. It's been a wonderful day all day long, but I didn't put the camera on to start gushing about what walk I may or may not do. Should this be like edited out? You know what? It's actually really difficult to just ad-lib in takes, which is what I always do. I never really pre-plan what I'm going to say. Oh, trust me, I have a bath or do my hair or whatever, and I have all of this stuff running through my mind all the time. What would be like, oh yeah, you should talk about this or you should talk about that. But unless I've got a camera right in front of me at the exact moment in time that I'm having these thoughts, it's very difficult for me to regurgitate. Well, I can't, simple as. I rely on the first take because whilst I hold my hand up to the fact that I do sometimes look at myself in the first take and think, oh my God, you can't release that. Because if I haven't spoken for 5 days, your mouth, your face, you get tense. I do actually keep a video diary. I have for a while now. Not all the time, but I try to keep a video diary. But even so, when you look at it in terms of maybe you speak for 10 or 20 minutes a day, and that's it most days, unless something out of the ordinary is happening, and then you try and switch a camera on and just start talking from like completely cold. Now I used to be able to do this because I used to talk to more people in everyday life, whereas now I'm like silent all the time. I don't really speak very often out loud. I don't want people to think, oh, the poor thing. It's not like that. There's loads of people I could talk to every single day of my life if I wanted to. I don't, because I've genuinely realised the importance of to see the games going on properly requires a degree of isolation. It requires stepping back from the game. If you are interlinked and interwoven in the game, if you are a person in the game, then you can't see clearly, your blinkers are down, because even if you can see clearer than most, like, just imagine you've got blinkers here, and most people in life walk around with this very blinkered vision where all they can see is that far, okay? And you've got people like me who see more like this, right? But then, if you remove people like me from the games around them, the vision is like a lot broader. Obviously, I'm not God, I'm not Jesus, I'm just a human trying to live a godly, with Jesus as a leading light and example in my life. I know that you can't ever be a perfect human living and breathing now. The second we reach perfection, we'd be out of here, because you can't be perfect in this world. And I stopped trying to be that many years ago. I don't even know if I ever tried to be perfect. I always I was always really clear on the spiritual warfare. That was easy for me to see. What I was really bad at was aligning all of the elements. So spiritual, physically, bodily. Did I say that right? Mind, body and spirit is what I'm trying to say. I was always really rubbish at doing all three together. I wouldn't even say I've perfected it now. I'd say that I really am being aware for many years now how important it is to get all three aspects together in tandem, and how I always normally have 2/3 running together. And imagine how all of us, it's ironic because for years now I've had this vision of school. The X-Files is the closest. Oh, look at my hair. I'm having my hair totally natural, which means no hairdryer by it, even though I know the heat damage isn't from once a week with a hairdryer. But I just thought it would be good to like have my hair really naturally. It does feel weird because it's so short and I haven't cut it. Well, actually, that's not true. I cut like 2 millimeters off it yesterday. And I do literally mean 2 millimeters. It wasn't anymore. It's the same length as it always is. It's actually down to my waist. Like, if I pull it at the back, it's down to my waist. Like it was before I cut it in the summertime. It's just that it's so thin. And I thought it's maybe time to start trying to have it natural, in its natural curls for a while. I mean, it's not grown back anymore yet. It's just how it was the other day when I filmed it. Anyhow, what was I saying? What was I saying? Oh my god, I can't think. It's totally blank. I have to stop it. See? Yeah, things like what just happened there are exact reasons that make it extremely difficult for anyone who's talking about deprogramming to just talk organically. And actually, that's exactly what I always do. Like, you can see by looking through my first YouTube channel and the uploads there how rare it is for me to ever have anything in my hands or be going by any kind of quote unquote scripts. I do occasionally. Okay, every now and then I try and put something out there that's just pure mind control orientated. I did that about a year ago in 3 uploads I did. And I've done it about the racehorsing world, except I don't think I had notes. It's funny because if I want to do something dead blinkered and dead about just one thing, then I did occasionally write some what was meant to be pointer notes down. But then I never looked at them, barely at all, so it's kind of pointless that I even did that. But somehow by doing that kept me on point. And what I was going to say just then was, that's what they do. It's a very good sign to see. Well, no, I shouldn't have to say this, because anyone who's being programmed, which is everybody, I should hasten to add, because everyone's programmed one way or another. And most people in are part and parcel of your general everyday programming, because how often do you find parents who are actually deprogramming themselves and know what's really going on? Enough to actually bring the children up and successfully bring them up program taint free is probably a better way to say it, because if someone's not programmed, they're not tainted, are they? They're not damaged. Bear in mind that probably, I want to say 95% of the world is programmed, and probably only 5% isn't, because it's probably the most accurate way to put it across. Although I want to say 90%, not 95, because I thought 95 sounds so hopeless. But unfortunately, I might be wrong. I'm just guessing, really. I haven't got an accurate figure I can give you as to what percentage of the world is deprogramming or brought up, who is raised and brought up to be. I say raised for the Americans, and I say brought up for the English. And anyone in between, they have to I don't know, speak English, I guess. Otherwise they won't be watching me anyway. Anyone in between, this is happening. Why do I keep blanking to this degree today? It makes me feel like it's important what I'm trying to say. So I know what I was trying to say, I just know that I went off the point slightly. It's really rare for any kids to be brought up by parents who really get it, because, put it this way, I know a lot of children that have been brought up, and I know children still being brought up, and I know children still being born, but by people that actually get it, well, it's not even 5%, it's more like 1%, and I don't mean that the 1% indoctrinating the children to carry on the same agendas which we're trying to escape from. I mean the 1%, or is it 5.05%? I don't think I know anyone that I can think of off the top of my head, or at all, who has had kids and are bringing them up program free and only on the page of a great future. Now, just because I don't know anyone like that. Doesn't mean there aren't people like that. I can think of people who brought their kids up very well, but within the program, if that makes any sense. Very well, but within the program, it doesn't make sense at all. I know people who seemed, to my eyes at the time, to see through the programs, and I thought they were bringing their kids up in a way that's true and real, because they were. But then now I look back and I see how programmed it was anyhow, and I'm like, and I only know one person that I can even put in this category. We can only ever do the best we do. I'm not ever criticising anybody. You can't be aware and overcome stuff that you don't know. I'm really aware of the fact that I'm really relieved I haven't got kids in my everyday life, because when I look back to me at 20 and how much I wanted children and how much I wanted, was always in my head from being a very young child onwards. I wanted kids, and I wanted to break the cycle of abuse. And sorry, I just looked at my grandmother again. I wanted to break the cycles of abuse. I wanted a daughter, and I wanted to heal like everything in my family with this daughter, because I was so young at the time. I had no idea how like huge everything was. Even though I understood spiritual warfare, or I thought I did, and for my age and the time period, I really did get it. But then it's very difficult to counter when you haven't got the real tools in place to counter with. Obviously, I now know it's absolutely ridiculous. There's a time delay going on. Oh, it's trippy as to watch. At the time, I'm trying to not look at myself now. I was saying the battery's going to run out, which is true. It probably is going to run out if I don't plug it in. So I'll have to keep moving. We'll have to keep moving, and I'll have to try and remember what I wanted to say. Don't know what I was about to knock over. I was about to knock over my Herbie things. Oh God, what a nightmare! Hang on a second, because it shouldn't need to be like this. Even though I've still got no idea exactly what the point is I'm trying to make. And I do keep losing my thread, because that's what they do. Like, when I say they, let's be really clear about it. I'm talking about demonics, and I'm talking about the very few in the agenda that actually know what the agenda is. Puppets don't really interest me. I was a puppet, and I didn't even know it. It's like kind of boring. They only interest me if people are paying too much attention to them, because it's dangerous. And the reason why I advocate healing within, and the fact we all are programmed, and we all need to deprogram. Now, I'm not denying the fact there's lesser degrees of deprogramming everyone has to do, but anyone who thinks they haven't been programmed and haven't been mind controlled, I don't know what world they're living in, because it's very blatant to me how everybody is in a mind controlled reality. There is nothing more or less than a mind controlled reality. The question is, have you been mind controlled against truth and realness, or have you been nurtured in truth and realness? And it's not a hard question to answer, because trust me, at 30, in the chaos that I lived, if someone had asked me that, I would have said my family was chaos, I wanted the opposite, and that's what I went out to get. Because that's the truth. That's what I went out to get. Opposite to chaos. And when I say chaos, let's be very clear. My family looked perfect. My family had money. My family had the means and jobs to seem very secure and very desirable. The chaos is from within, when the actual reality behind the front is not really the front, but it's very discreet. And that's why I say that real mind control, it's not like all these MK Ultra videos quite show. I'm not saying they're not real either. You've got your extremities, you've got what goes on and you're programmed to do that you've no awareness of, but you've also got your day-to-day life programming which people live out. Like, as what's now seen as PC life. Or if you feel a bit alien to your family because everything you think, you believe and remember from your past is nice memories on the surface. If someone just has a little scratch at the surface, a bit like with the 9/11 stuff, doesn't only take, this is what I always say about the real truth. When there's problems manifesting in a family, whether it be blinkered people doing great seeming careers and making a lot of cash, but with not really much tied into emotion or anything, or whether it be the polar opposite where you've got emotions all over the shop, but it's chaos. You know, chaos comes in many forms. People have stereotypes of what chaos must be, and usually whatever their stereotype of what chaos must be will be a long way away from what they're living at home. I just want to say, I don't know if the delay is translating in what I'm videoing. It doesn't always translate in what I'm videoing, but it's extremely off-putting to look at. And if I stop it now and start again, I probably will lose the point of which I'm trying to speak about. The one thing that really bothers me in this quote-unquote truth movement is how in denial so many people are as to the fact that everyone's been programmed. And that's not really the question. The question is, where are you in your programming? How deprogrammed are you from agendas? And how willing are you to do some healing work for yourself before you project out and try and save the world? Once we heal ourselves within, we are changing the world. But the way we're conditioned to think is that that's selfish and we shouldn't be healing ourselves. We should only be like looking at everyone else. And the way that the real truth is we heal ourselves so that everything that projects out of us, every single ripple effect, is healing those around us. Everything we do, from the food we cook, to the words we say, to the words we write, to the thoughts we have, if we've done the work within our own selves first, it's all a ripple effect. It's all organic. No one has to try and save anyone but themselves. We all have to save ourselves. And we have the truth. We have the way to do that. It's really not that hard. But because of the way we've been brought up, all of us, everyone wants to think it's them or us. It's cults or it's us. And that's very true. But in that frame of thought, most people overlook the fact that they've been actually in cults themselves, because cults aren't all religious like propaganda, or sorry, they aren't all, someone doesn't run a cult, right, and put onto their house sign or drive sign or whichever way it is to their house, or these days maybe on their internet website or whatever it is people do. People don't say, we are a cult, come join our cult. No, people say, we're living healthily, this is a good way to like be physically fit. I'm just like thinking of racing in my mind now and how that was a cult. It's textbook cult life. But I didn't go to work in racing to thinking I was joining a cult. The reality is, the sad truth is, that the only people that make it are the people that the cults manage to indoctrinate, and you end up believing enough truth in their way. You don't have to believe it all. You have to just believe enough in their way to endorse it. And let's face it, I never agreed with things, but I worked there, so I did indirectly endorse it, whether I realised it or not. And so if people could get over the cult stereotypes of being overt, when the true cults are actually very, very, very covert, a bit like the narcissism versus the covert narcissist versus the overt narcissist, one's really obvious and dead easy to like pinpoint. I think that's quite a rare thing actually in life, to have things really obvious and dead easy to pinpoint. And let me just say, everything's obvious and easy to pinpoint once you know it, but only once you've walked away from denial. And then it becomes obvious, yes. But what upsets me is how many people there is that would spend probably good time and money, I don't know, But I think most people have like a PayPal account, and most people talking out ask for money. Because let's face it, there's no cash in what I do. You know, there's no cash in making YouTube videos about healing. There's nothing to be made. And people make videos and ask for money, and then people will do things like raise money for that other person. And the point here is not cash. The point I'm trying to make is people put a lot of time and energy into helping someone else heal. When really, if we all heal ourselves and use that time and energy on healing ourselves, we all get to have that ripple effect out on the world and make the world better too. And that's like my main point. And I'm going to have to finish filming, because if I don't, then A, I won't ever get out on a walk, and B, it'll be too long. So thank you for watching. Please do like and subscribe. Cheesy as it sounds, as I feel saying that, please do. Bye for now. Bye.